Welcome to Forbes Newsroom. Joining me now is Zach Everson, a staff writer here at Forbes. Zach, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me on, Brittany.
Of course. So I was really excited to talk to you. You've been covering Trump extensively for years now. And just this week, it was announced that the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, is suing former President Trump. Can you walk us through the lawsuit?
Sure. The accusations center around Trump's valuations. When you pay taxes on something, you have to declare what you think it's going to be worth. And likewise, when you are applying for a loan, if you need collateral, you have to say, all right, well, we have this building and it's worth X amount, and they will look at that. And the crux of the allegations are that Trump was inflating what he owned to get favorable rates from banks.
And who was mentioned in the lawsuit?
Well, Donald Trump, Don Jr., Ivanka, Alan Weisselberg is CFO, the Trump Organization, and Forbes was mentioned a few times. Some of our earlier reporting several years ago was cited by the Attorney General. One of the bigger examples was regarding the size of his penthouse, where he had said that his Trump Tower triplex was 33,000 square feet and that it should be valued as such. But when we looked into it back in, I think it was 2017, turned out he had about 11,000 square feet. And on all of those statements of his financial condition that he'd submitted to banks, I think it was in between 2011 and 2016 or so, he used that inflated number. And the one that really stuck out was a week after Forbes reached out for comment with our findings saying it's 11,000 is what we found, not 33,000, care to comment, they still submitted a statement of financial condition saying it was 33,000. And the Attorney General has subpoena power, which we do not. So she had emails that showed the trail of this, that the person we sent it to had forwarded it to Don Jr. and some other people, and they were aware of it, and yet they still signed off on that statement of financial condition.
And did Donald Trump himself ever respond to the Forbes reporting?
Donald Trump is obsessed with Forbes reporting, and I don't mean to, put us at the middle of the story, but Trump's spot on the billionaires list is of key importance to him. I mean, it's just his desire to climb that year in, year out. And that's part of it, is because the things that he told us were, which, it's not a crime to lie to the media. But he repeated those same boasts in his financial documents.
And the allegations here of fraud laid out by A.G. James were described by her as staggering. How bad is this for the Trump Organization, Trump's oldest children, as well as Donald Trump himself?
Yeah, I mean, it's not good. But on the other hand, we knew this was coming for ages. Her investigation started a couple of years ago, I believe. We keep track of lawsuits and investigations centered around Trump. There are 35 that are active right now. This is one of the bigger and more significant ones. But when it comes to playing the civil legal system, I mean, Trump is like Yo-Yo Ma on a cello. I mean, the man is just a virtuoso at pushing back. And we saw it already in this case with the investigation, where he kept pushing back when he was going to give his deposition. No, I can't do it. My ex-wife died. I can't do it. And push back. And then when he showed up, pled the fifth, didn't comment. So, he probably knew he wasn't going to comment all along. But why not comment in February when you cannot comment in September and kick it down the road? So, with civil lawsuits, we're going to see motions to dismiss. He's going to throw every motion he can at that thing. Regardless of the verdict, he's going to appeal it. And then regardless of that appeal, he's going to try to appeal. I mean, I would be shocked if anything close to resolution happens on this within 7 years.
And you mentioned 35 lawsuits. That's an incredible number there. How does this stack up to those other ones?
Sure. So there are 35 lawsuits and investigations. Not all of them have reached the courts yet. We've divided them into several areas, one involving January 6th, the other involving the 2020 election, one involving his personal dealings, and then the business filing. So this is certainly one of the key ones on the business side of it. The ones that are probably getting the most attention would be involving January 6th with the House committee, and also what's going on in Atlanta with the 2020 election. The personal stuff is, his case against his lawsuit against Hillary Clinton got tossed a few weeks ago. He's got a lawsuit against his niece, the New York Times, Michael Cohen suing him. It's stuff like that.
And will the Trump family be able to continue to do business in New York as this lawsuit goes on?
I believe so. I mean, not an expert in it, but one of the things that James is asking for is, them to be banned from New York real estate transactions for 5 years. So if she's asking for that, it does not sound like anything would be slapped down on him right now.
Got it. And the allegations are pretty damning. So how has Trump responded since the news of this broke on Wednesday?
Well, today he was posting, I believe it's been about 35 truths, was about to call them tweets. They weren't tweets. They were truths on his social media site, many of them involving QAnon. So, it's the usual. It's the witch hunt. The Democrats are doing this. Letitia James, when she campaigned, said she was going to go after Donald Trump. And, that's part of the tension we have where we elect attorneys general, is that they are serving, they are running for election, but they're also supposed to be the ones enforcing the law. So if they run saying that they're going to do something, then when they actually do it and bring it into court, it's very easy for somebody like Donald Trump to say it's political because she brought it up in a campaign. She made it political.
And I do want to talk about the political implications here of this lawsuit. Do you think that this will deter Trump from running in 2024 or possibly incentivize him?
I don't think it's really going to make an impact one way or the other. Being president would help in terms of being able to make arguments like, oh, I'm the president, I can't be tied down with this suit. He made those arguments in his previous administration. Again, he's already got 35 cases and investigations going on involving him. So, whatever he'd want to do for those is he would want to do for this one as well. So this new one doesn't really change anything.
And how does this affect Letitia James's political career moving forward?
Well, it's what she's going to be known for. All of a sudden that is her legacy, unless something bigger comes along at some point. But it strikes me as difficult. If you ran on, I'm going to investigate Donald Trump, and then you charge him in a civil case like this, knowing how long he can stall this out, she's not going to be able to go back to the electorate and say, look at this result I have. The result is going to be, look, I charged Donald Trump and we're in year 3 of pretrial motions. That's not exactly going to get people to say like, oh, wow, she kept her word. That's not the result people want. And that's the problem with voters, that they don't have the level set expectations of the legal system, but also politicians aren't level setting their expectations either.
And do you think that this will affect the midterms in any way?
No, not at all.
And I want to talk about the reaction from other lawmakers. How has the GOP reacted versus any prominent Democrats?
It's the same. It's the same as all the other stuff. They're all. It's almost to the point we could have just scripted it ahead of time, where it's a Democratic witch hunt. Oh, if it was so bad, why did she wait so long to do it? Or why aren't there criminal charges? Why? And then, Democrats. I mean, a lot of it, I haven't seen anything really new come out of it. It's just kind of like, yeah, we know. This has been the case. We've been saying this. There's all this other stuff going on. But I think the Democrats have been focused on other things.
And do you think that this is a case of like lawsuit fatigue because there's 35 other pending lawsuits and investigations? It's another one on the list, opposed to if this happened to someone, it's their first lawsuit, it would carry more weight?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I'm suffering from lawsuit fatigue, and that's, it's my job and I like my job. But, when it's last night and I'm looking at this spreadsheet and I can barely keep track, and I'm like, oh man, I have another investigation to add. Oh, I wish they had announced that, just because I don't want to fill out some cells on a spreadsheet. Yeah, I think that is suffering. And it's difficult for people to keep them straight. That's why we came up with that tracker. There's so much overlap there, between the New York Attorney General and the Manhattan District Attorney. And then when you look at a lot of the lawsuits involving January 6th, a lot of them are, 5 or 6 of them are very similar, from different law enforcement officers who are suing him over the riots at the Capitol. And they're very similar lawsuits, but they are different.
And the Manhattan DA's office is also investigating the Trump Organization in a criminal probe that began in July 2019. Is there any connection here to that case?
Some of the accusations, I believe, are similar. Some of the buildings that were involved are in Manhattan. I think it was the New York Times reported several months ago that the criminal investigation rather, was largely dead as a couple senior prosecutors had walked away.
Mhm.
But Manhattan DA Bragg was very quick to send out a press or a statement after the James announcement saying, "We're still investigating," um, which people were kind of like, "Sure, okay." You can keep saying that, but we haven't seen anything, and we have some senior prosecutors who've come out and said you're not, and we haven't seen any results beyond the indictment of Alan Weisselberg and the Trump Organization about a year ago.
And I know you were saying that this is almost like a Venn diagram of all these investigations. It's like a giant puzzle piece. Does this in any way affect the FBI or the DOJ's other investigations?
It shouldn't. The more investigations
Mhm.
that he's involved with, though, make it easier for his cries of witch hunt to be believable. They're just
Yeah.
sticking things, and that's something I read this week. I think it was in Politico, where Jamie Raskin, congressman from Maryland, who led some of the impeachment hearings, he had pushed during the first one for them to go after the emoluments clause, which was the part of the Constitution that prohibits a president from accepting money from foreign governments. And the argument being that when Saudi Arabia or whomever books his hotels or his clubs, he's accepting money, he's accepting something, an emolument. And the insight from that, the banter back and forth between Raskin and Nancy Pelosi was that she just said no. Like, we have this other thing, it's bigger. If we throw this emoluments in with it as well, it's just gonna weigh it down, and it's just gonna seem like too much and overwhelm people. And as a result, they never did anything with emoluments.
And do you think, Zach, you've been covering Trump for a while now, is this the thing that's going to stick?
I don't think anything's gonna stick. I don't, and there are all those people who are in my Twitter responses saying, yeah, but they've got him this time. But there's a meme going around that it's like, we've got him this time, and then next scene, he got away. Oh, we'll get him next time. Like, he's really good at what he does. Whether what he does is legal or not, but he's great at playing the legal system. And look at his age. I don't see it happening. I really just don't see him. The reckoning that I think so many people want, and I might be wrong. I mean, I will caveat everything I just said to you, but I might be wrong. But on this one especially.
No, and I think a lot of progressives are kind of like foaming at the mouth here. They want to see, someone get perp walked here. But a common theme we've seen, while Trump, nothing really sticks to him, things stick to his periphery. Do you think we'll see any sort of prison sentence or something like that for Ivanka, Don Jr.? Are they getting in trouble?
Um, I mean, none of the criminal charge cases involve them right now. I mean, unless Manhattan DA was to do anything. But again, the New York one is civil. Um, they do have it tougher in that, without sounding crass, their life expectancy at this point in 2022 is a lot longer than Donald Trump's. So there's more time for things to play out and impact them.
Mhm.
They also, he's really good at what they do, and it remains to be seen if they are as well. We don't. There's not. Eric's been running the company. There's not much evidence that Don Jr. or Eric really are as savvy as he is, and can push the boundaries as well as he does.
Well, Zach, thank you so much. I know you'll be back soon enough to talk about more things Donald Trump related. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Brittany.